everybody. Welcome to the Integrity Restored podcast. I'm Jim O'Day, your host, and I'm blessed once again to be joined by Bas Rutten, UFC Hall of Famer, 22-0 his last fights, martial arts expert, black belt in Taekwondo, black belt in karate, Muay Thai fighter. And he's also, ladies and gentlemen, a very committed father, husband, and Catholic man. And I wanted to talk on this episode to Bas a little bit about how that journey on the physical side, you know, God made us body, mind, and spirit, how that journey on the physical side actually has really powerful lessons for us on the spiritual side. Because when somebody gets to the pinnacle of their career in fighting like that, you're giving up a lot. You're suffering a lot. And sometimes in our spiritual lives, we're called to do the same. So, Bas, welcome back again. Great to have you on. And, you know, when we talked before about your conversion, it was amazing. It was nothing short of miraculous. God is always at work in our lives that way, if we have the eyes to see, right? If we're open to it.
Yeah, and what people also should realize is this, the devil as well.
Yeah.
And you got to watch out because the devil and God and everybody involved are outside time and space.
Yes.
So, and I really, because I use this in my talks that I do to Catholic men, because we all believe, because, we're 2 months sober, we're 3 months sober, we're 4 months sober, the devil has all the time in the world because for the devil and God, there is no time. For what God gave us these 10 commandments 2,000 years ago, they are as strong in meaning as they were said a second ago. If he would have told them 1 billion years ago, same thing. He's outside time and space. I'm mentioning this because a lot of people don't get it. If the devil, it takes 40 years for the devil to make it an alcoholic drink again, he won. And for him, there is no time. For you, there's 40 years. But if he keeps pushing, and if finally you break again and you fall off the wagon, he won again. And once I realized that wait a minute, I don't want to let this guy win. And that was it for me. I'm a very competitive guy, and I don't like things to control me, you know. And once I realized I was a slave to alcohol and drugs and sex and all these crazy things. And then, by the way, I've never been a crazy guy with porn, so thankfully I never did that, you know. But just, hey, women, right? But that was not in control. This is the thing. You're talking about suffering in this life and in the spiritual life. It's exactly the same. It really is. And all the people here, are taking all the risk. You know, you want to be a professional football player? Well, it starts when you're 5, 6 years of age. And your parents are driving you around. Every training. Oh, you start competing. Okay. Oh, it's getting better. Now it's going to get nationals. Maybe or states. And then maybe you go to the nationals. I mean, there's a lot of work. All of these guys know that 2 in the 1,000 are going to make it.
Right.
There's no chance, pretty much, but they all do it. And then I go, if you're willing to make such great sacrifices for things that you cannot keep, would you be willing to make even greater sacrifices to gain eternal happiness of heaven? We are so short-sighted. Think about this. We think these 80, 85 years on the planet, this is it. Guys, it's not even a blink of an eye.
Right.
This is we're not talking about 1 million years or 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, forever.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. So
it's such a hard concept, isn't it, Bas? Because we are so focused on time.
And getting stuff.
Yeah.
And where can this go me? And yesterday I was talking to a thing because I'm an entrepreneur as well. And some people, they come to me with a product and I don't believe in a product. And it was at the time, it was like $85,000 they would give me if I endorsed that product. And I needed the money at the time. But I knew that it was not a good product. And I also understand, yes, the $85,000 is going to help me now. But once it comes out that it's not a good product, I can never sell anything anymore. People are going to go, but the last time he said that other thing was good. My word's not going to be anything anymore. So I had to say no to the $85,000, unfortunately. And I was right. 6 months later, they got lawsuits, they got everything. So I was happy that I didn't do it. But you see, a lot of people don't see that. They need the money, see it now. There's kids, The Sound of Freedom, the movie, right? There's people selling their kids. Think about that. you're going to go to a very bad place, dude. It's you
Oh,
have no
yeah.
idea what's going to happen there. The tie the millstone around your neck, but you see, it's all these distractions. It's very hard. This is the best thing I always say. Suffering. This is my definition of suffering. Suffering is saying no to the things that will give you pleasure but steer you away from God. That's what
Mm.
suffering is. You want a third drink? You can't. You get me the designated drive? You can't. Also, that will be, now you're going to be a drunk. Can't do that. That's the same with lying, it's sin, envy, it's with everything. Suffering is saying no to the things that will give you pleasure that you really want at that moment, but turn you away from God. And once you start, and then Scott Hahn says another crazy thing. He says, we don't suffer because we sin. He says, that's backwards. He says, we sin because we do not want to suffer. We can't suffer. We're so afraid. Oh, but I really want it. I really want it. Okay, I'll do it. I'll take it. Boom. And then you see, we don't want to suffer. Saying no again to that third drink or to whatever it is, or to no, you're a married man and this young girl throws herself at you. Well, that's a lot of pleasure. Well, saying no to that pleasure because it's going to steer you away from God, that's suffering. That is what suffering is. And once you see that, you go like, dude, it's everywhere. So, and now you got to man up. That's it. That's what I did. And then still, there's little tiny things that are very hard. And the little tiny things are not the physical, are things like pride or an envy thing. Thankfully, I think you could never say that, but I think I nipped that in the bud. But it's all these little things that you don't even realize are bad. Talking bad about somebody while you don't know the story. Gossiping, all that stuff is not good to do, guys.
And I think I'm really appreciative that you said, well, I think I have that, because here in our work at Integrity Restored, one of the things I've been doing this for 8 years now, brother. And one of the things I've found is that all we could usually say in recovery is, well, I'm not doing that now. I'm not doing that today.
Once you say you have it under control, you have not under control.
that's when the temptations go crazy. The devil gets in your ear. Yep. Your brain starts to reset, and oh my gosh, I deserve this.
Right.
Look at how hard I've been working, how much I'm suffering. You know, so much of what you said is true. Our brains, the way God designed them, our brains are adverse to suffering. It doesn't like it. But there can be great power and healing and opportunity for growth in suffering. I'm not saying we should flagellate ourselves. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But when you are training to be world champion in multiple organizations, right? UFC, Pride, where else? Somewhere else.
Pancrase and UFC and then WMA.
Pancrase. Yep. Right. You suffered, right? You had to put your body through a lot of struggle to get there.
Yep.
Well, it's the same thing in recovery, ladies and gentlemen.
We see the goal here. Like you say, I want to be a world champion. That's a belt. Oh, I like that belt. I really want to go. So you can do something. Faith works different. You can't see it. You're going to have faith. What do you think Jesus said? If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. He knows we have very little faith. So it's very hard. Bad things happening, but every time when something happens, even if it's bad, later on, I always figure out, oh man, it was all because now I have this. If it wouldn't have happened, you see, so there is a reason. He allows bad things to happen in order for something good to come out of it. So all these things, you have to just keep it in your mind. And if you right away, if something goes against you and you kick your right away the faith away because it's their fault, I go, yeah, that's same as drinking. You got to stick with it. And what's also going to happen is once you go back to the faith, the devil doesn't like that. And he will be attacking you. It's like when you get married for the church and girls normally never have interest in you, watch what happens. I told this to my buddy. I went to his wedding and he's a Catholic. And I says, how's it with the ladies? He says, oh, never a problem. I say, you're going on holiday now? Yeah, on a wedding, whatever, holiday. I said, watch what happens. I said, call me if it happens. And he called me within a week. He goes, dude, every girl is smiling at me. And everybody, I go, that's the devil. That's temptation. He wants you to away from that path that you're on right now. And in the beginning, it will be really, really hard, but you have to fight through it. And once you fight through it and he sees that you fight through it, they'll give up. He said, oh, I'm going to take him later again. And like I said, he has all the time in the world because for him, it's no time. Always remember that. If he gets you back in 40 years, he still got you,
Yeah.
because he's always there. He is like God.
One of the things we hear all the time, particularly with pornography addiction, um, it, we really look to self-soothe ourselves. So sometimes it's wounds from childhood, it's bullying, it's abuse, it's whatever, and we're trying to find something to soothe. Yet the thing that we use, whether that's pornography or drugs or alcohol, um, is ending up hurting us. And
Yeah.
we say, how can God allow that? But here we are, boss, and I want the people to hear this. We are two guys. We talked a little bit before we recorded. We've done a lot of messed up things in our life. And yet here we are, two Catholic guys now talking about these issues, bringing them out of the dark and into the light to try and help people. That's why God allows it. Your suffering that you went through now becomes redemptive. You can help somebody else. I think that's powerful, brother.
I think so too. When I was a kid, I thought my diseases were a curse. And now I
Mm.
realize it was a gift. Because all these, if I wouldn't have had my eczema, I wouldn't be the leper in school. If I wouldn't have had my asthma, I probably wouldn't have be sitting here. Because I would never have been sparked to become a fighter, to beat up the bullies. And I realized, actually, I can do this. You see, so everything, once you go back in my life, in moments, in fights that I wanted to quit, and then another voice started talking. All there says you two voices. And then you listen to the other guy, and then suddenly you stay in it. And then you win it suddenly 30 seconds later. You go like, I will never do this again. All these things are it's so wild. It's just listening and just doing it. And we're so much stronger than we think we are. But these phones make us think that we're not.
Yep.
Everything is so, it's just like, okay, I do these talks for these kids, like 550 kids, not anymore because we moved to Texas, but in California, I used to do that from kids who go from high school to college or to wherever they go to a job, whatever it is. And I give them the final talk. And my first question is this: who by show of hands woke up this morning from the alarm clock, hit the snooze button, 10 minutes later, hit the snooze button, 10 minutes later, hit the snooze, and did that like 5 or 6 times? And you'll shock. It's 85, 90% of the hands go up. And I go, that's the dumbest habit in the world. Because the last hour, you didn't sleep anymore. You fall asleep.
Exactly.
It's too. Smart thing would be for you to set your alarm clock 1 hour later and then to tell yourself to man up in the morning. And they say, if the alarm goes, I'm going to sit up in bed. I'm just going to walk out. And that might be hard the first day, maybe the second, maybe the third. But hey, fourth becomes easier. Fifth, sixth, sixth. And suddenly 10 days in, it's normal. Now you change the bad habit into a good habit. And that exact thing you can do with everything in the world. It's just doing it. Oh, I can't lose weight. All these people, they start, I walk to the end of the street, which is like 100 yards, and I walk back. That was my first walk. And they were like 400 pounds. And then suddenly, 6, 8 months later, they're freaking running a marathon. 6, 8 months later, yes, because it goes baby steps. Make it a journey. Don't force yourself. Just start. Like working out. I go, do 20 minutes. Don't worry about power workout. Just do something, and change your lifestyle. Oh, I take like 5 sugars. Take 4.5. Yeah, but I want to cut it out. That's not going to work. But if you take 4.5 for a week, and then 4 for a week, and then 3.5, slowly but surely, you see, then suddenly in 3 months' time, you maybe got 1 scoop. Way better than 5. And you can do this with everything. It's just doing it. But we're so weak. We're such a pussy. See, there it comes again. Pusillanimous. Oh, I can't do it. No, you can. Man up. Come on. You really
and part of it really is 2 things, my opinion. Number 1, recognizing that we're powerless against whatever that is in our life. And we need God's help. That's number 1. And number 2 is deciding just to start. I want to talk to you for a minute. How many times, you mentioned something before that people, I'm sure, when they think about it, are going to be shocked. Here's a world champion, UFC Hall of Famer. You're in the middle of a fight and you want to quit? People wouldn't even think that about Bas Rutten. But it's human nature.
Oh, yeah.
And yet you didn't quit. That's the important thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are struggling with this, if your marriage is struggling with this, don't give up. Don't quit. So talk to me a little bit about that, because that must have been a lesson that you learned probably from childhood, right? When you first started training.
It's one of these things that there's always two voices in my head. There's one that really wants to get things over with really fast, and the other one says, take your time. And it's really what it started in Japan when I started fighting, and it was like, I was amazed, because I could hear all the American people speak. Whoever I listened to, I could hear. Normally, I never had that. I completely zoned off and I just destroyed my target. Now I was in complete control. I could hear his corner talk. I could, I go like, whoa, this is really great. And that's when my fighting started getting really, really good. But it took a while, this doesn't come right away. You have to get used to that. It's work, controlling the emotions is one of the hardest things. Like if you're an actor and you've been doing it for years, cool. But if you just started and you think acting is easy and because you can rehearse something in the mirror, think again. Trust me on this. It's like, oh, I'm a karateka. I'm in class. I know how to. You have no idea. Because fighting under pressure in front of an audience is a whole different animal.
A whole different animal than sparring in your dojo. Absolutely.
It's like people go, oh, I can do that. No, you can't. Well, some can. I maybe had 3 in my entire life. I trained hundreds of guys. Maybe 3, if that, who would immediately fight like they did in the gym. Ask any fighter, because it's very hard to fight. It'll take a bunch of times, and some never get it. We have guys who work circles around world champions in our gym, but you put them under pressure in a fight, they can't perform. They lock up, and unfortunately, because their skill can't come out, they're too afraid or too much in their head. And that's with everything right now. That's why we don't want a confrontation. Oh, we can do it online. Oh, what a hero I am. No, do it in the faces. See that?
Yeah.
If they could do. At least because then you can speak truth. Then also you don't start yelling and flipping and doing all that stuff because now there's a person in front of you. Call that person. People are
and have a conversation with them. We've lost that ability to have a debate and a conversation where it's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
You mentioned, and I just want to go back there before we have to wrap up, but the Sound of Freedom movie. I saw that movie. I had the pleasure of having Alejandro Monteverde, the writer and director, on our show. That is such an important lesson, ladies and gentlemen, in kind of just sticking to it. That thing was on the shelf for 5 years. Nobody would pick it up, but they didn't give up, did they? And now look how that movie is outperforming everything that's out there and really educating and helping people understand what's going on all around us.
Yeah, but you can also see the evil now. Every person who tells you don't go see that movie, make sure that person is not your friend anymore. Because he's either a pedophile or he supports the pedophiles. And why wouldn't you go to the movie? Oh, it's political. No. They just say that. There is zero politics. You find a political thing in there, I'll give you $1,000.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. And that is the absolute truth.
Every person who says to you to not watch that movie, watch out for that person. Every Rolling Stone magazine, CNN was saying it, so I'll never watch that again. They're supporting the pedophiles, and otherwise they're pedophiles themselves because there is nothing political in the movie. Left or right, we all should be against freaking child to pedophiles, right?
Amen.
Everybody should be against that. It doesn't matter. And if you try to stop that from going to the movie, you're protecting them. That's what it is. There's no other reason. Otherwise, it could be stupidity from you that you just believe you get gaslighted. But then again, then you're a dumb person.
Again, these stupid things, right? People get their news and their perspectives.
Yeah, but it drives me insane.
God knows who, right?
Yeah, it's so evil. And then you go to Netflix. Netflix didn't want to do it. They have that show Cuties on freaking Netflix with 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, in bikinis and walking around. Oh, that is okay, but you can't let the world know that $150 billion industry a year, more than any other, the NFL and all put together, soccer, it's way more than that. And they let kids, but the kids are probably 60, 70, 3-year-olds. Think about this.
Babies.
And older. Babies. People have, no, this cannot be true. No, it is true. And you're going to have to voice up and start telling people to go to the freaking movie. But innocent kids, Man, it really gets me going.
You and me both, brother. You and me
Oh.
both. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, visit angelstudios.com if you haven't already. If you can't afford a ticket, you could get a free one.
Yep.
You know what? Angelstudios.com, and go see this movie. Bring your family, bring your teenagers. The world needs to know.
Yep. 100%.
Bas, you truly are my brother. What a blessing being on here with you. Osu! And I will have you back on again if you're willing. You are a great guest. You are a dear friend now. Anything I can ever do to help you, you let me know.
All right, my friend. Sounds good, Jim. Godspeed.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thanks for listening. If you want more information from Bas, please visit his Instagram page, Sebastian, SEBASTIAANHA Rutten, RUTTEN, on Instagram for more information on the spiritual battle from Bas Rutten. His regular secular website is basrutten.com, where you can check out some of the businesses he owns and just get a little more on the background of this incredible gentleman and warrior for Christ. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless your journey.